Few things are more powerful than walking away from someone. And you could also say that few things are more powerful than being walked away from, because they both have a very profound and significant impact on the person, although it could be in different ways. And walking away from someone, it really can be one of the most difficult things to do, especially if there's somebody you love and somebody you spent a good part of your life with. And walking away from somebody can be a very difficult decision. But don't get confused around what walking away actually means, because sometimes the person who walked away from the other, whether they may have been under some delusion that it was the best thing to do when maybe it wasn't, or sometimes even just a power play, sometimes the one who walks away first is the one who truly becomes walked away from by the other, and they truly become abandoned by the other when the other person takes that as a genuine cue to cut ties, because they've realized that it's not worth sticking around somebody who's unreliable and who might just rely on power plays as a way of life. And also sometimes walking away from somebody isn't about physically distancing yourself from them or physically discarding them. Sometimes it's just about acceptance and accepting that the person will not be a part of your life anymore, and just kind of letting go. And that letting go can be a big relief to the person who's letting the other person go. But the one on the receiving end, if it's either not what they really wanted or if it came unexpected, it can bring about some very powerful emotions. If someone feels like they've been abandoned, if someone feels like they've been walked away from, then that can feel very confusing. It can put them through feelings of despair, maybe resentment. There are these profound consequences in how you bounce out of that. There are some profound consequences in how you see yourself, even things like self-esteem, and how you see the other person. And although these intense and complex emotions can arise, maybe the biggest impact is not just the emotions you feel, but the realization that there might be this need for change. Even if you don't know what the change is yet. And that's probably the biggest obstacle when it comes to coming to terms with someone unexpectedly detaching from you, or if you're unexpectedly detaching from someone else, to know what they're going through. And let's just to take a side note here. If someone's been toxic towards you, if someone's been narcissistic towards you, if someone's predominantly been manipulative towards you, then your default reaction should be whether or not they walked away from you or whether or not you walked away from them. It doesn't really matter. If you know that you've been dealing with an unhealthy person, then the last feeling action of relevance should be from you, which is you let them go. And then that's it. Because you don't want to bring these people back into your life, because they will, of course, only use you for personal gain. But again, putting that aside, putting that toxic, manipulative type dynamic aside, if someone's been a core part of your life, like a part of them has been a part of you, there's a certain feeling aspect of yourself that you can relate to and you enjoy, but only that person can ignite that feeling action within you. It's almost like a part of your heart can only really feel through that other person because they have that special place. If someone like that's been abandoned, then there is this sense, this profound sense of need for change. And you don't really know what the change is yet. And that's what causes confusion. That's what causes despair, because you know where you stand right now isn't good enough for you. You need to go somewhere else. But then there's two questions. What is the new place you need to be at? And not necessarily physically places, but what's the new kind of emotional embodiment? What's the new mental place, mental framework, your new identity? What is that going to be? Because being where you are now doesn't work anymore. Because with the by isolating the other person away, by them not being a part of your life, you now need to change. And then how do you get there? So those are the two key questions, and those are the two complex things that can cause a lot of turmoil in the person on the receiving end. It's like, who is the new me, and how do I get there? Because it's not going to be a quick process. It's an ongoing process. Because a vital part of you has been taken away, and you have that sense of self shattering. But if you just acknowledge that there is this journey from where you are now to that new place, and most of that journey will be on your own, because no one else can understand your journey. No one else can understand the process you're going through. No one else can understand your personal pain and grief. And if you just kind of sit with it and accept it and let go of the things that aren't meant for you, and let go of people who are in your life just wanting to take disproportionately more than they give. And importantly, if you acknowledge that some battles, they must be fought alone, then the time apart actually is everything you need to get to that new place. And then you think the pain, the wounds, which soon become scars, itchy scars. Maybe the pain subsides a little bit over time, but it doesn't fully go away. It might even last a lifetime. But the scars, they do get better. And they say that it's just by summoning more strength, courage, and becoming an expanded version of who you once were, that all of that becomes manageable, and all of that soon gets put into perspective and becomes just a little pocket of your overall spatial awareness of everything that's ever mattered to you. And then you can embrace that new chapter and just keep moving. All of this kind of reminds me of something that happened to one of my cousins a few years ago. Her two brothers, which were also my cousins, they both died tragic deaths quite young, one in their teens and one in their early 20s. And, 5, 8, 10 years later, she says the pain doesn't really go away. The grief doesn't really go away, but it's kind of like you have to open up your heart more, kind of have more love towards others to kind of override that grief. And that's a similar process. That's a similar point around this expanded version. The only way you can heal or make scars manageable is by expanding in that way. And whatever those scars, whatever those scars represent in terms of loss, the expanded version of you has to bring in more of that into your life through other ways. And I think anyone who's lost anyone close to them will understand what I'm talking about. Thanks for watching. Oh, and one final thing. Again, just a reminder that I have an Insta account in case you want to connect. You can see details in the comment section below. And also, if you'd like to support this channel, you can donate to my PayPal account, link in the attached. in my profile. Again, thanks for watching.